B-roll. Close-up of a hand clicking submit payment. Screen reads, payment successful. You've probably imagined this moment 100 times. Maybe you pictured yourself screaming. Maybe you thought you'd cry. Maybe you rehearsed the Instagram post, the phone call to your mom, the dinner reservation at that restaurant you kept saying not yet to. And then it happens. You make that final payment. You close the tab, you sit back, and the world just keeps going. No confetti, no parade. No one hands you a certificate that says congratulations, you made it. Just silence. But here's what I want you to understand today. That silence, it's the loudest thing you'll ever hear, because something massive just shifted, not just in your bank account, but in your brain, your identity, your relationships, and your entire relationship with the future. Today, we're going to talk about exactly what changes after that last payment and why so many people are completely unprepared for it. Section 1, the psychological shift. Let's start with your mind, because this is where the biggest earthquake happens, and almost no one talks about it. For years, maybe a decade, maybe longer, your brain has been operating in what psychologists call a scarcity mindset. Every financial decision, every dinner out, every Amazon purchase, every unexpected car repair, it all ran through the same mental filter. Can I afford this? Will this set me back? What will this cost me in the long run? That filter wasn't optional. It was survival. But here's the strange thing about survival mode. Your brain gets addicted to it. When debt is hanging over you, your nervous system is in a low-grade state of chronic stress. Cortisol, your stress hormone, is elevated. Your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for long-term thinking, is partially hijacked by anxiety. You become hyper-focused on threats. Every financial decision feels like defusing a bomb. And then, one day, the bomb is gone. You'd expect relief, right? Immediate, overwhelming joy. Some people feel that, but a surprising number of people feel something else entirely in the weeks after becoming debt-free. They feel lost. The goal that structured their entire life is gone. Anxious, the vigilance that kept them safe now has nothing to attach to. Empty. They achieved the thing, and they're waiting to feel the way they thought they'd feel. Guilty. Spending money even on necessities feels wrong without the familiar punishment of debt. This is real. This has a name. It's sometimes called post-achievement depression, and it's far more common among people who've climbed out of debt than the financial world likes to admit. Here's why it happens. For years, your identity was organized around a struggle. I am someone paying off debt. I am someone working toward freedom. And now that the struggle is over, who are you? The answer to that question doesn't come automatically. It has to. So what do? You give yourself permission to grieve the version of yourself that was always fighting, and you get intentional about building the version of yourself that is free. That means creating new goals before the old ones disappear. Not because you need to hustle forever, but because human beings are meaning-making creatures. And a life without direction feels worse than a life with struggle. Write down 3 things you've been putting off until when the debt is gone. Then do one of them this week, not to replace the achievement, but to prove to your nervous system that the reward is real. Section 2. The money behavior shift, okay? Now let's talk about what happens to your actual spending behavior. Because this is where a lot of people unknowingly blow everything they worked for. There are 2 dangerous patterns that emerge after debt payoff, and they pull in opposite directions. Pattern 1. The revenge spender. This person has been white-knuckling their budget for years. Every latte denied. Every vacation skipped. Every aisle, wait until I'm debt-free. And then the day comes, and something inside them snaps open. Within 6 to 80 months, many revenge spenders are back in debt. Not because they're stupid, not because they're irresponsible, but because they never built a relationship with money that could survive abundance. They only knew how to relate to money through restriction. Pattern 2. The chronic hoarder. This person can't spend. Even though the debt is gone, even though they have savings, even though they have room in the budget, they feel physically ill spending money on anything that isn't necessary. The scarcity mindset has calcified into a pathology. They're technically free, but they're living like they're still imprisoned. Neither of these is healthy, and both of them are completely understandable. The goal, and this takes conscious work, is to build what I call a conscious abundance framework. Here's what that looks like in practice. Step 1. Redirect the debt payment immediately. On the day your debt is paid off, before you change anything else, set up an automatic transfer for the same amount you are paying toward debt into savings, investments, or a new goal. The reason is simple. Your lifestyle is already adjusted to living without that money. If you don't capture it now, it will evaporate into lifestyle inflation within 90 days. I promise you. Step 2. Create a spending permission structure. This sounds formal, but it's really just answering 3 questions. 1. What am I allowed to enjoy now that the debt is gone? 2. What am I building toward next? 3. What's my floor? The minimum savings investment number I will protect no matter what. When you have answers to those 3 questions, you can spend freely within the structure, and it doesn't feel reckless because it isn't. Step 3. Practice intentional spending. This isn't about guilt. It's about alignment. Ask yourself before major purchases, does this match the life I'm building? Not can I afford it? You can. But does it actually serve the vision you have for your life now? That question changes everything. Section 3. The relationship shift. Let's talk about something people almost never mention. What debt freedom does to your relationships. Money, specifically, shared financial stress, is one of the most powerful invisible forces in human relationships. It shapes how you communicate, how you fight, what you avoid talking about, and how safe you feel with the people closest to you. When you're in debt, there's often a shared enemy, and shared enemies are, weirdly, bonding. You and your partner are fighting the same war. You and your friends are all in the same boat. There's solidarity in struggle. When that's gone, the dynamic shifts. In romantic partnerships, the most common post-debt conflict isn't about spending. It's about control. For years, financial decisions were driven by necessity. Now they're driven by values. And you might discover, for the first time, that you and your partner have different values around money. What do you prioritize now? Travel, a bigger home, early retirement, building generational wealth, starting a business. These conversations, left unaddressed, can unravel a relationship that survived years of financial hardship. Have them early. Have them explicitly with friends and family. The shift is different. You may notice that some people in your life are uncomfortable with your financial freedom. They might make jokes. They might ask why you're being so serious about money now. They might feel left behind. And on the flip side, you might find yourself pulling away from social situations. That used to be easy. We can't afford it was a clean, socially acceptable excuse. Now you have to make choices based on what you want, and that's actually harder. Give yourself permission to grow into a different version of your financial life without apologizing for it. The right people will celebrate with you. With yourself, the relationship shift is the deepest. For many people in debt, especially long-term or high-stress debt, the debt becomes part of their self-concept. There's a quiet shame that gets attached to it. I'm someone who got myself into this mess. And when the debt is gone, that shame doesn't automatically leave with it. This is worth saying clearly. Your debt was not your character. Paying it off is not redemption, because you were never as broken as the debt made you feel. What you're doing now is simply reclaiming the truth that was always there. Section 4. The wealth building shift. Alright, let's get into what most people think they're most prepared for, but actually aren't building wealth. There is a fundamental difference between paying off debt and building wealth. And yet, most people assume the skills transfer automatically. They don't. Paying off debt is defensive finance. You're protecting yourself from a hole getting deeper. Every payment is an act of repair. Building wealth is offensive finance. You're creating something that didn't exist before. Every investment is an act of construction. The mindset, the habits, the risk tolerance, the emotional experience, all of it is different. Here's what changes when the debt is gone. Your money now has the ability to compound for you. While you were in debt, compounding worked against you. Interest was accumulating on balances. Your future self was subsidizing your past decisions. Now, for the first time, you can flip that equation. Every dollar you invest starts working. It earns returns. Those returns earn returns. And over Chimi, the math becomes almost incomprehensible in your favor. Section 5. The identity shift. I want to close with something bigger than budgets and investment accounts. When you make that last debt payment, you don't just change your financial situation. You prove something to yourself that cannot be taken away. You prove that you could commit to something hard for a long time. You prove that your future self was worth sacrifice. You prove that financial freedom, which probably seemed like a fantasy at some point, is something you are capable of creating. That's not a small thing. That's actually a profound piece of self. And what it means is this. Whatever comes next, you now know what you're made of. Want to build a business? You now know you can delay gratification and execute through discomfort. Want to retire early? You now know you can live below your means without losing your mind. Want to give generously? You now know that abundance is something you can build, not just something that happens to other people. The debt was never just a financial problem. It was a test of identity. And you passed. So now the question isn't, what do I do with the money? The question is, who do I want to be with the freedom? Answer that question with intention. Answer it with honesty. Answer it with the same grit that got you here. Because the truth is, making your last debt payment isn't the end of anything. It's the first day of everything. If you're on the journey right now, if you're not there yet, I want you to hold on to this video. Come back to it when you make that final payment. Let it be a reminder that you were prepared for everything that comes next. And if you just crossed the finish line recently, tell me in the comments. Seriously, tell me when it happened, how it felt, and what changed for you. Those stories matter. They help the people who are still in the middle of it believe that it's possible. If this video helped you, share it with someone who needs it. Hit subscribe if you want more content on building real financial freedom, not just getting out of debt, but building a life that money supports rather than controls. I'll see you in the next one.